I'm going to do a short reading today and connect it to one of the things that I do use, which is teaching stories, and talk about that. The teaching stories come from different sources, but the ones like the desert rat stories are definitely mostly from Sufi sources, which is the esoteric and very liberal, peaceful area of Islam. Much of Islam is peaceful. You know, it's just today, because of some radicals, it gets a bad name, but Islam is about surrender and about peacefulness. And the Sufis were sort of to Islam, in a way, what Zen is to Buddhism. Now, some of you, I should just say this very briefly, some of you don't know what Zen is to Buddhism, so let me give you the short version. When Buddhism came to China, it came from Indian culture, which is very intellectual and philosophical. And after the original historical Buddha had died, many things were written, sutras and studies that everybody did, and then there were comments on the comments on the comments. When Bodhidharma started looking at this, the person that brought Zen to, brought Buddhism to China, he had a different slant. And then later, a group of people decided that there was no point in studying what people said the historical Buddha said, but rather they should just do what he'd done. And what he'd done was meditation. And that's how he had found the truth. That's how he found realization, enlightenment. So they decided that that would be the emphasis. They call that Chan in Chinese, and it means sitting, meditation, sitting Buddhism. Zen is the Japanese version, and it means the same thing, sitting Buddhism. Chan became so popular in China that when you said Buddhism, it meant Chan. No other school of Buddhism became more popular. And so with that background, now this is many years later, now in America, and we're still talking about the same things, and I'll just start at the beginning of the book here. I'll actually even give you a little bit of...
Is it out for us to buy it?
No, you can pre-order it on Amazon, but you won't get it till the fall. So this is the little, it's called Wonderland, the Zen of Alice, and it starts with two quotes. One by Dogen Zenji, who was the most famous Zen practitioner and writer in Japan's history, 12th century, and then Alice in Wonderland. And it's called the Denko Roku, which is the records of transmission. Eijo studied with Zen Master Dogen. One day in the course of inquiries, he heard the saying, "One hair goes through the myriad holes," and all of a sudden realized enlightenment. That evening he went to Dogen and said, "I do not ask about the one hair. What about the myriad holes?" Dogen smiled and said, "Gone through." Eijo bowed. Then the second quote is, "What matters it how far we go?" his scaly friend replied. "There is another shore, you know, upon the other side. The further off from England, the nearer is to France. Then turn not pale, beloved snail, but come and join the dance. Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance?" And then it starts. I'm going to leave out the intro. Maybe I should just read the intro. That's a good idea today. This is my intro. Alice fell down a hole. Like many people, she was quite sure she was on solid ground. That is, until she wasn't. She didn't fall down an ordinary hole, but a door into another world. As we follow Alice's adventures on the other side of the door, we get the feeling that her previous life was a bit mannered, prescribed, and, well, boring. After she falls down the rabbit hole, everything changes. The rules take a sharp turn, invert, and fade like a Cheshire cat's smile. Nothing is ever the same again for Alice or for the reader. The way of Zen can also take us for a spin, creating a special kind of internal dissonance where the familiar harmonies in music don't come as expected. It's not that dissonance isn't harmony, it's just a different kind of harmony. To experience the truth and beauty of dissonant music, Alice has to give up her expectations and accept what is. If, like Alice, we give up our expectations, we may find that we can hear and see an alternative truth as well. We may even see ourselves clearly for the first time. In her journey, Alice experiences all sorts of wondrous things and has conversations with extraordinary characters. She meets talking cards, flamingos that are mallets, a bloodthirsty queen, and a disappearing cat. This world, which Alice finds so unfamiliar, unpredictable, and outrageous, is Wonderland. In our own lives, wonder is easily misplaced or lost. We forget that this vast, unknowable world and our lives can never be reduced to polite logic. In the Diamond Sutra, the Buddha says, this world is not a world, and so is provisionally called a world. Our conclusions and concepts cover the truth of our world. Peeling the crust off our old concepts of the world is a journey, a joy, and a practice. Like Alice, we can all find a way that is wondrously lost, that has heart, and rings true. The Buddha spoke a lot about the other shore, a place where illusions fall away and we can see the world clearly. In Zen practice, at the end of the Heart Chant Sutra, we chant, "Gone to the other shore, gone to the other shore." It's the realm where body and mind fall away and we see we're one with everything. The other shore has often been thought of as elsewhere in the future, both historically and in our lives. Many of us want to get there and concoct schemes and plans for reaching it. It is nothing other than this moment, this life, this death, this Wonderland. If we search persistently and are lucky enough to stumble upon our rabbit hole, we may discover our own Wonderland right under our noses, where it has always been. Anyway, that's the preface. I'll read you a little going in because it makes sense with the story I want to. So this is the quote. "Have you guessed the riddle yet?" the Hatter said, turning to Alice again. "No, I give it up," Alice replied. "What's the answer?" "I haven't the slightest idea," said the Hatter. "Nor I," said the March Hare. And that's the beginning. "When my son Alex was about 10 years old, he was very interested in the concept of being right. It was spring and we were taking a walk. I started to tell him the names of the flowers. 'This is a red-bearded snake and that a blue mongoose.' Eventually he looked up at me and said, 'You're making this up.' I said, 'No, I'm not.' And he said, 'Yes, you are.' From that point onward, our conversations have been like playing very competitive ping pong. Today we might have a discussion about which type of computer is best. For a couple of minutes, Alex will say, 'I think Macs are better.' And I'll say, 'Well, I don't see it that way.' He'll say yes, and I'll say no. Yes, no, yes, no. Then we switch just to make the other one wrong. He says no, and I say yes. Now Alex is 29, and I'm 59, and we still poke fun at our opinions in exactly the same way. This yes, no is the essence of what goes on in Alice in Wonderland. In Alice's above-ground life, the rules are clear, and everything has its proper place. At the beginning of the story, she's sitting on a riverbank with her sister, considering making a daisy chain. It's a perfectly normal day. Then she sees a white rabbit with a watch. She follows him, and soon she falls down a hole, a big hole. Okay, so you'll hear more of that. And now what I want to do is I want to read you a Sufi story.